15 mwezi wa Agosti mwaka wa 2024. Karibu sana kwenye Morning Cafe. A lot is happening here today. My name is Fred Ndimuli. How hot is the coffee where you are?
Jina langu ni Stanley Nyeringita. It is a junior Friday. Well, Thursday as you see. Na ukituona tunakaa kama two presidents. One former president, one current, back in 2013.
Yeah, around 11 years ago. Tukitoa hivi koti, tunakaa kama tunaenda ku announce cabinet.
Alafu tunakaa hivi. Karibu sana. Anyway, I will be with you all the way to 10 a.m. A lot in store for you. So this is the right place that you need to be. In case utakuwa unatoka kwa nyumba, you can always access us. Ukiwa kwa gari, watch us live on our digital platforms because the conversations are going to get hotter today. A lot of events happening.
Yes, Robert Alai will be in studio, the MCA Kailelesho Ward, alongside Kiruga Dhuku, MCA Shinga Ward, as well as Jerry Kahiga, National Youth Leader, Political Party, PNU. A lot is happening in the political world. Plus, today, Eldoret becomes a city.
The city.
Eish.
Oh yes.
Lakini sasa unaona kuna vitu wameweka pale. It has been trending the whole day yesterday because of some of the statues. And what do you think of this?
Who do you think resembles?
Actually, I'm told that each of these statues represent a certain athlete, a real existing athlete. So I don't know kama ini ya Kemboi. Eliud Kipchoge. Eliud Kipchoge.
It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell.
Interesting. So yes, for residents of Eldoret City, congratulations.
Oh, yeah.
Lakini mfanye kitu kwa hiyo statue. Tafadhali.
Oh yes.
Tafadhali. We can do better.
Oh yes. So even Fred, before we steer away from all that, a brief explainer ndio mtu elewe hii maneno yote ya what a city is, because guys were wondering how come Eldoret ilikuwa to city. So here's basically a brief explainer of what a city should be. So Eldoret will today be conferred the status of a city, so the fifth one in Kenya. A brief of what you need to know on the process. So according to the Urban Areas and Cities Act of 2011 is that initially, the board of a municipality applies to the County Executive Committee for consideration of conferment of city status. If the Executive Committee approves the application, so the county governor shall constitute an ad hoc committee to consider the recommendation. So the committee shall comprise of relevant professionals nominated by the Institution of Surveyors of Kenya, Kenya Institute of Planners, the Law Society of Kenya, Kenya Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Kenya, business community, and an association of urban areas and cities. So legally, when the committee concurs that the municipality meets the criteria for classification of a city, the governor submits the recommendation now to the county assembly for approval. If approved, the clerk of the county assembly will be required to forward the resolution to the Senate for consideration. When the Senate approves the recommendation, the clerk should send this resolution to the president for conferment of city status. So according to the act still, before classification as a city, urban areas must have infrastructural facilities like roads, street lighting, markets, fire stations, waste disposal, and disaster management capacity. So Fred, I'm curious if Eldoret actually now met all this.
Oh, yes.
But then now the fact that it is going to be conferred, that means it has met the requirements according to
I was there for the
act.
devolution conference last year, and I can tell you Eldoret is a much bigger and better town than most other cities or other towns that we've seen in Kenya. So yes, they do deserve to become a city. Wafanye tu mambo na hiyo statue tafadhali. Hapo tu kidogo. Fix hiyo. Mambo sawa sawa.
Oh yes, but then do expect quite a number of events, and we'll be covering that for you and beaming that. Later on at around 8 a.m. it's Law Matters coming your way, part 2 of this conversation, the process of succession, what you need to know about this. Into the headlines now.
Salaries crisis hits varsities and counties. They say hakuna pesa, kwa hivyo mishahara itachelewa. Poleni.
Inside 1.5 billion cash shillings Equity Bank heist.
Kuna mtu tu alipita na pesa kubwa hiyo. Aish. And you can see the smiling face there on the front page. Hey, 1.5 billion, me, I would be smiling all the way. Actually, this is smiling all the way to the bank.
Yeah, exactly. I was about to say that. People daily.
Ruto's empty promises. Yes, to say. People daily.
Si maneno yetu lakini.
Wanafinya.
Inafinya.
Wanafinya.
Another big headline. Najua hii utahema.
Haya ni mingi staki.
Big relief for students of varsity fee agony. Maswala ya education. And they've been following up on this since early in the week.
Kenya's new food tax risks trade spat with Tanzania. You know, we trade a lot of food across the border with our neighbor. Faini ya shilingi milioni 1 kupanda ndengu bila leseni. Did you ever know that? Hey, jaribu kupanda ndengu na una license. 1 million ama uende jela.
Oh yes, and it not only even applies to ndengu, a number of seeds in the Seeds and Varieties Act. Yeah, kitambo. Yeah, the number of farmers who are really trying to push for the amendment of this.
Okay. All right, let's cross the border into Uganda. They're still talking about City Hall, and there's a City Hall in Deep Hole. Hey, I like that.
The play of words there.
Yes, city's failure, community agony. The deadly Saturday morning collapse of the landfill in Kitezi was not out of the blue. Experts within the city authority had foreseen it, but for many reasons, Kampala capital city authorities left the dumping grounds in shambles and has left a huge blot on the conscience of those in charge. Yes, and some of those people in charge are Daniel Okello, KCCA Director of Public Health, and Dorothy Kisaka, KCCA Executive Director. Wow. Iko shida. Still in Uganda?
Pale juu, someone very prominent has passed away on Tuesday, and it makes big news in Uganda there. Okay. He's called Tamale Mirundi. He was a veteran journalist as well as a political commentator, and it also makes big news in the front page of the New Vision as well. Okay, 9 Lives of Mirundi, this journalist. Can you believe making it to the front pages of all the dailies? Yes.
Yes, a look at veteran journalist's life from 1964 to 2024. He's been given that a dedication to his life. Kitezi, meanwhile, still making it on the front page. 39 people still missing. So, yes. Alafu hapa chini.
Still missing, and this is it day 4 since
Saturday? It happened on Saturday, yes. So 39 people still missing after that landslide. And King Mswati ako hapa kwa neighbor. Museveni welcomes King Mswati and one of his many wives is there on the front page of the New Vision. Interesting. Crossover into Tanzania, vigogo Chadema wasimulia mazito.
Siasa imechacha vile.
Siasa kule Tanzania sahi. Hautawezana. Masuala ya siasa, lakini kwenye The Citizen,
33 million people in East Africa struggle with food shortage. This not only affects Tanzania, but also Kenya. And speaking of Kenya, they also make mention of it here. They say Amson's bid to acquire Kenya's Bamburi gets strong backing. I believe this was the front page of Business Daily early in the week. It's seen a major boost to Tanzania's Amson Group. The company's $180 million bid to acquire Kenya's Bamburi cement has gained the backing of major shareholders. Okay. So we have to see how that will be. But then
back to the main issue about food shortage. And they said that actually Kenya and South Sudan are the worst in the region. And I think the only reason why they have this headline on the front page of The Citizen is because Tanzania is doing very well. And they say that at least Tanzania has a least percentage when it comes to food shortage.
9.24%.
At 9.24%, that's a percentage of people living with difficult conditions, having to skip meals or survive on limited diets. But when it comes to South Sudan, 32.73%, Kenya 26.46%. Na munaringa hapa sana. Tanzania wanaambia hamna chakula. Muna medali za Olimpiki.
Lakini hamna chakula.
Hamna chakula. Tanzania mwambia hivyo.
Hey, Uganda iko 18, and the whole notion of how it has quite the food there.
Tanzania was just bragging on that headline. All right, let's come back home and take a look at the traffic situation. And a quick look at the usual trouble spots, beginning with Jogoo Road. It's building up quite slowly. Makadara, patches of yellow and red, meaning that it's still building up. At this time, it's usually Meshika. It's very green even on Landis Road. Even this area around Haile Selassie Avenue towards Machakos bus station is not so busy as it usually is at this time. The other trouble spot usually is the Pangani interchange. It's also looking good this morning. Nothing much to report about, and it's actually past 6.
11 minutes.
11 minutes past 6. So yes, it's looking good. Nafikiri yo Thursday, Friday mood imeanza kuingia. It's kicking in slowly. Towards the end of Outer Ring Road, just before you get to Allsops, it's also building up. So if you're heading towards Allsops on Outer Ring Road, toka mapema itashika. Well, that's the traffic situation. The rest of the major tributaries into town have no incident.
Yeah. Ni Eldoret tunataka kuangalia.
Wanda kuangalia Eldoret pia ni city na wako na barabara kubwa lakini hawana nini? Hawana traffic. Pale Mlolongo kuna incident kidogo.
Oh yes.
But nothing much to report there. So yes, traffic in Nairobi this morning not so bad.
Tuangalie weather updates and just see how different parts are going to look like. Tuanze na the coastal region in Kwale specifically. It is 19 degrees Celsius right now and it promises to get very, very warm there, as high as 28. Another place in Meru, and well, this speaks of even the central highlands there. Let's see how it is going to be. Cloudy conditions most of the day. Jua kidogo into the midday, but then the entire day some light showers and cloudy conditions. Now in Eldoret,
the new city.
The new city for today, 13 degrees right now. But then, typically when you always see this, it's always a very huge indicator that the rainfall situation in that place is going to be high.
And I'm sure they were going to hope for a sunny day as they launch the city.
Ndio statue hata zikauke paint.
Sasa kutanyesha kuanzia saa 4 mpaka jioni usiku.
Be very wary.
No, although you should see it as a blessing. In Africa, you see the rain as a blessing.
True.
And for it to rain from 10 a.m.
Hadi jioni.
Yeah, that's a blessing. So for Eldoret town, expect rain in Amanisha.
Oh, yes.
The heavens have opened up for you and have accepted your bid to become a city.
Oh yes, and this will be happening at the Eldoret Sports Club. So there's a whole tent and everything. In case you're planning to go there, beba umbrella. Beba umbrella.
Right.
Tell a friend to tell a friend. Finally, tuangalie Nairobi and its environs, 14 degrees, nothing major to report on that. The highest that you'd see for today is 24 degrees, a very typical kind of a weather today. Let's take a look at our news diary for you, and we've been talking about this when we started, what is going to be happening in Eldoret, the conferment of it to be a city. President William Ruto is expected to confer Eldoret municipality to be the 5th city in the country. The conferment is expected to bring about increased investment opportunities, and the president will be flanked by, among others, the county governor of Uasin Gishu, Jonathan B., and among other leaders. We'll be giving you these pictures when we have them as well. Into something interesting that is going to also be happening today. On the next page, the Joint Committee of the Senate, National Security Defense and Foreign Relations Committee, and the National Assembly Departmental Committee on Administration and Internal Security will be having an approval hearing for the nominee for the position of Inspector General of Police, that is Douglas Kanja. So basically, if both committees approve him, he'll be ceremoniously sworn in at the Supreme Court by Chief Justice Martha Koome, thereby taking office from who is now the DIG, that is Gilbert Masengeli. He's the DIG as well as the acting IG. And then to the next page, all roads will be leading to Machakos County as of today. So basically, the G7, as they're called, it is an umbrella of the 7 female governors, will be having a press conference at the Hilton Garden Inn along Mombasa Road, and then proceeding to Machakos for the G7 summit. It is going to be happening today as well as tomorrow. The seven female governors as well as other female leaders in the country. A lot of interesting activities happening that are going to be happening in that county. And finally, into the final page, back to Eldoret again. So after this whole conferment, President William Ruto is expected to host the Kenyan Olympics team for grand reception at the State Lodge in Eldoret. The team has returned to the country after finishing about 17th globally and the first in Africa with a total of 11 medals. They're going to be welcomed into the city with some very interesting statues.
Oh yes.
Athletes anapita na shanga. Uni mimi ama wana debate kwa gari. Hapana uni wewe. Hapana uni wewe. Usi wewe.
Naambiwa ati zitakuwa poa zikikauka.
Okay. Let's take a look at today in history right now.
On the 15th of August 2022, Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission (IEBC) Chair Wafula Chebukati declared William Ruto as president-elect. Ruto garnered 50.49% of the total votes cast, while his opponent Raila Odinga garnered 48.85%.
Masa tuangalie gazeti sasa.
Oh, yeah.
And we start off with the Standard. Talks about something very different today. Salaries crisis hits varsities counties. They say there's a payment crunch, empty pockets and suffering for thousands of workers in public universities and county governments after salaries were delayed. And some institutions of higher learning warned that they would not be able to remit full pay, but instead just a fraction following a serious crisis occasioned by delayed treasury disbursements. So the fiscal crunch in the country continues, and those affected right now, county governments as well as universities. That's a big headline on the Standard. Other highlights: Africans on edge as Kenya steps up Mpox surveillance. Yes, meanwhile, the WHO has declared this issue a public health emergency of international concern.
Yes.
Now, there are very few incidences such as this that have been declared, even in history. Of course, COVID pandemic was such a concern. They call it what? SARS. SARS, swine flu, Ebola at one point. So now the Mpox is a public health emergency of international concern.
And something interesting as well, I saw that they also say that it has a particular link to sexual intercourse. So they say 9 out of every 10 Mpox cases reported are men. According to a WHO report, 96% of those infected got it through sexual intercourse.
Zingatia.
Check on that.
All right. Of course, they feature a special pull-out on what's happening in Eldoret City today as it gets a charter to formally become a city. And the Standard Group has gotten a new CEO. I think that's also a highlight on the front page. On the top strip of the Standard this morning, protests, no more masked officers in civilian clothes. Wameambiwa sasa hiyo ati gari haina number plate.
Unajifunika hadi.
Unajifunika hivi komando hiyo hapana. Uniform na weke jina hapa.
Ndio nikiprotest na kuona.
Najua ni polisi.
Yes, Fred Ndimuli, stop harassing me.
Unajifunika sura ndio uchape mtu. Unafunika sura uchape mtu kwa nini? Fungua tukuone kama wewe ni mnoma.
Ukirusha tear gas tukuona.
Yeah. And celebration time for our Olympic stars also, as they arrive, and a photo there of them landing aboard a KQ, disembarking from that KQ flight and being met there by the CS for Sports, Kipchumba Murkomen. And that is what is on the back page, why Kenya's Olympic stars have reason to celebrate today. And yes, some nice images there of some of the celebrities or celebrity athletes, Kenyan celebrity athletes, with the Sports CS Murkomen, Kipchumba. Yes, Faith Kipyegon and Beatrice Chebet. Unajua wanatoshana hata height.
Both of them.
Yes, wanaka
sisters.
Yes, they are more or less like sisters. That's a Standard this morning.
Kuna page I thought you'd be flipping to.
Which one?
Page 47, your Standard. As an ardent Arsenal fan.
Oh, hold on. The EPL party is just about to begin. Well, wacha itaanza. Itakuja tu.
It's countdown. The first game, kesho, I think around 10:30 p.m. Manchester United versus Fulham. So EPL is back again. If your boyfriend doesn't acha kukongelesha this weekend, siku baya yake. Venye the English Premier League is back.
Mpira ya wazungu.
Mpira ya wazungu ya kupatia stress. Tuangalie gazeti ingine, Daily Nation now. They have a very interesting headline that other papers do not have. Inside 1.5 billion cash shillings Equity Bank heist. That story is on page 4, which will be flipping to. It's a bank manager key suspect in 1.5 billion cash shillings heist. The credentials of Mr. David Mashiri, the Equity Bank's manager at the salary processing unit, were used to process the transactions. And on page 4, they have 2 photos there of David Mashiri having an ear-to-ear smile. That's an archive photo, and Peter Kimani Mashiri, whose son David is the main suspect in the theft. He was picked up from his house. And Palechino make some Key figures, the amounts being investigated. 47, there's the number of payroll transactions being investigated. 1.5 billion amount Equity Bank Limited investigators say was stolen. And 11 a.m. when armed hooded men raided the house. Other headlines, the former vice president is back on the pages. Pale juu, dilemma, Kalonzo's tough options ahead of 2027 polls. In a whole dilemma of whether to cut links with ODM's Raila or continue working. This was the big headline on Taifa Leo yesterday. And remember you saying this shouldn't really be a dilemma.
It's a done deal. I think the sooner someone moves on, the better. Because the assertion then was that he may be waiting for Raila Odinga's support for his presidential bid come 2027. Ngumu kiasi.
It's interesting how they have a grey and a black and white really backdrop of him. Speaks a lot. Other headlines, pale chini kabisa, Mount Kenya love affair with governor impeachments. The impeachment of trial of Meru Governor Kawira Mwangaza, a third in less than 2 years, has exposed the populous Mount Kenya region as the most politically volatile and restive in the country. And read that on page 7. Other headlines, outcry over Kenya plan to introduce tolls on key roads. And another big win for Rukia Bule, getting that award for Cum Laude. Those are just among the headlines on Daily Nation. Pale nyuma, they have an interesting story that also reflects on a number of cartoons this morning. Outcry over Kenya plan to introduce tolls on key roads. They say Kenyans are really burdened by an increased road maintenance levy fund rate. Alafu tena juu naongezea story ya kulipa ukitumia barabara zingine.
Maisha ni magumu.
Sasa hata ukitembea utaambiwa leta pesa ya kutembea kwa barabara.
Unatembea kama nani?
Unatembea kama nani?
Ruto's empty promises is a big headline on the front page of the People Daily, a very bold one, I must add. And they've actually listed some of the pledges he made on protests. He talked about compensation for some of those who died. He talked about austerity measures, theft, impunity. And according to this paper, he has done nothing. And they say integrity. From the rooftop of his fuel guzzler or State House, President has been trumpeting pledges which remain unmet. And that story is on page 4. Omatas Shakahola, how victims are forced to fast for 38 days. That story still continues. Trailblazer, Kenya's new AG. Yes, now we do expect her to be sworn in as Attorney General anytime this week. And finally, new tough orders for police. Court directs that police officers should at all times wear name tags and service numbers to be displayed as part of uniform while deployed to protect demos. That's the front page of the People Daily.
Kutoka People Daily tuongezee gazeti la Taifa Leo, baadhi ya vidokezo pale na taarifa moja ambayo magazeti mengine hayana. Taarifa hiyo ya ndengu sema faini ya shilingi bilioni 1 kupanda ndengu bila leseni. Ukulima wa zao la pojo maarufu kama ndengu sasa watahitajika kuwa na leseni kushiriki kilimo cha zao hilo, la sivyo watozwe faini ya shilingi milioni 1 au watupwe jela miaka 2. Mengi katika ukurasa wa pili nasema aidha kuwa hakuna atakayeruhusiwa kupanda na kuuza pojo bila leseni kutoka kwa kaunti, mswada ukiwa sheria. Has been quite a controversial bit about the selling of seeds in the country. Pale chini, something interesting that we haven't also taken a look at, the intrigues of Jimmy Wanjigi. Wasema adai walienda kwake wakiomba awaokoe kutokana na hatari ya kufungwa ICC na pia kutoa mamlaka, na hawa walioenda kwake ni Uhuru na Ruto. Hiyo ni kulingana na Wanjigi pale. Aidha, kidokezo cha mpox yatajwa tishio la afya na Afrika, CDC. Pale juu masuala ya magavana, utimwaji magavana juu zaidi kaunti ya Mlimani, taarifa sawia na ile iliyokuwa katika gazeti la Daily Nation. Kwenye michezo, Man United yanunua mabeki wawili. Wachezaji hao wamewahi kumsakatia Ten Hag akiwa Ajax, lakini sijui itatufaidi aje sisi kama timu ya Manchester United
nyinyi kama Man U
kuleta mabeki hawa wawili. Hiyo ndio gazeti la Taifa leo.
We finish with the Star. Big relief for students over varsity fee agony. Yesterday, State House sent out a communication with the president terming the structure misleading and ordering issuance of new letters by all universities. So new letters will only indicate amount to be paid after government support. So that means that they will have already factored in what the government will pay, and the letter will only tell you, okay, ambao unalipa 20,000, that's it. Closely linked to that, more university employees boycott work over delayed pay. And we saw that story on the front page of the Standard, that there are delays in salaries in universities and county governments as well. More highlights on the front page. Palicini, WHO convenes emergency MPOC session in Zurich headquarters. Elsewhere, Odwor gets nod to be first woman attorney general. And finally, Mwangaza happy as Senate votes for impeachment trial. Yesterday, the Senate had a special sitting, and they voted against sending this to a committee.
To the 11-member committee.
To a special 11-member committee. Now the whole case will be heard in plenary, just like it happened in last November, where the plenary went Kawira Mwangaza's way.
Though it's interesting, the first time the 11-member committee chaired by Kakamega Senator Boni Halwale, it ilimpitisha.
Okay.
And the second time plenary bado ikampitisha.
Will
so
she
this
be
time,
third time lucky?
Now that's a big question.
All right. Tuangazie cartoons, maswala ya karakacha sasa. Tuanze na Standard. Standard talks about the political game that has been played. We have Gen Z as one of the players. We have a caricature of the president, of the deputy, of former prime minister. We have the former president with a whistle, meaning that he is a referee.
Yes,
but also I've never seen the retired president in green and yellow. That's the first time I've seen it. And the MPs were also in green and yellow.
Yes. The MPs, I believe, are the
knocked out, kabisa. Yeah. So it's only the Gen Zs on one side. Everyone else is on the other side. Yeah. It was only the MPs at first. Now the president, the former prime minister has joined the fray. Now he's also in green and yellow. And the retired president, apparently, according to the former prime minister,
referee now, I think.
But he's also in green and yellow. Yeah. That means everyone else is in green and yellow, and the Gen Zs are on the other side peke yao. Amekaa tu we, amejiuliza maswali ya shanga. Kumeendaje? Ameachwa kwa mataa. Niliwaambia zingatia. The next cartoon on the Daily Nation talks about that proposal to introduce tolls on most of Kenya's roads, major roads including Thika Superhighway, the bypasses and other major roads. So they say the Mwananchi is looking at a bill of odious debt. Meanwhile, Kenha is saying private borrowing, public payments. So to build this road, and now we're looking at the cartoon on the Daily Nation, not the Standard.
Yes, there you have it.
So they borrow privately without making it public, without us knowing how much they've borrowed. But when it comes to payment, some Kenyan ndo anaingia hapo sasa, leta hiyo pesa, leta hiyo pesa yako, utumie barabara.
Na government inapita tu.
Government inapita tu, si barabara ni ya serikali. All right, that's a cartoon on the Daily Nation.
On People Daily, they stray away from matters, the toll roads that they get into. The government in opposition, in that trouser worn by two gentlemen, both of them having that instrument, saying you're either with us or alone. That is a caricature of ODM leader Raila Odinga telling the other trouser, which is a caricature of former Vice President Kalonzo Musyoka. It is the same story that I believe is on the front page, the top strip of Daily Nation. Yako pale antenna. I think ni antenna ama ni wiper. Oh yes, wiper. In other ways unaweza angalia kama antenna pia, unajaribu kushikanisha rada. Uone itakuwa.
Boy, you're either with us or alone, not against us. Kuna sisi ama uko peke yako.
Na hiyo ni government inaambia opposition. Either uingie hapa ama
ukae uko peke yako. Nakwambia hakuna kubembelezwa. Finally, the one on the Star.
The one on the Star has to do with, I believe, on matters roads. Yes, that proposal. And this is the Kenya National Highways Authority. Imeshikilia barabara Ni kama inajaribu kupitisha kwa ile nini ya security.
Yes, it is a proposal to have toll stations mounted on most major roads so that for you to use those roads, including Thika Superhighway, all the bypasses, including the newly opened Dongokundu bypass,
yes.
the Nairobi bypasses, even the expressway, or at least the expressways, we already pay for it. But what do you think about this? We'll be looking at this and a lot more with my panelists after the break. Today we are going devolution heavy. Yes. Kiruga Dhuku, Robert Alai, Njeri Kahiga will be in studio for this conversation. You can be part of the same as well through social media on X at TV47 News and on Facebook, TV47 Kenya.
Right. Law matters coming up your way to around 8 a.m. We discuss the law of succession and among other details in that particular law of succession act. Stick around for that. Advocate of the High Court, Silas Akiro, will be joining us and a lot more right here. Good morning today. Simbanduke.
Hey there friends, welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in?
I was number 2.
What position were you?
Number 1.
He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side.
We're going to do half cup of chocolate chips, and the other one, we're going to do half cup of the blueberries.
So, grab your imagination hats and get ready to explore with us. Join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. for new friends, amazing stories, and tons of laughter.
Join us as we explore the journeys of those who defy the odds and break barriers. We dive deep into the stories of triumph.
Sometimes when parenting a child with a special need or whatever disability, family life becomes a bit complicated and you may end up raising the child on your own.
Here, we inspire.
I have a farm which one we showcase with other dyslexic youths and autism, how to farm.
Motivate.
It's never easy, but what we do, the best thing is to work with another parent who has an elder child than yours.
And break through the barriers one story at a time. Push your boundaries beyond the limit. Saturdays at 8 p.m. The Grind, where business meets brilliance. It's not just about the ideas.
I was working as a shampoo boy I used to wash clients' hair on the sink.
It's about making them happen. From big wins
In primary school, when we would be asked what people want to be, I was categorical that I want to be a nurse.
to hard lessons,
The consoles change, the gaming equipment keep changing.
we cover it all. Tune in to The Grind.
All right, welcome back. You're still watching Morning Cafe on TV 47 with me, Freddie Ndimuli. Time for us to take a look at the big headlines. There's a lot to talk about today, a lot of varied headlines, including from some controversial proposed legislation on a number of things, including the tolls that could be erected on major roads, to also that one about licenses for anyone who wants to plant dengu. And all this will involve county governments as well. I'm privileged to have on set already Kiruga Dhuku, MCA Shinga Ward. He's also the chairperson of the UDA MCS caucus. Karibu sana Bwana Dhuku. Let's start from these proposals because it features on some of the front pages and on the back page of the Daily Nation. Outcry over Kenha plan to introduce tolls on key roads. The proposal by the Kenya National Highways Authority, Kenha, to toll major roads across the country has drawn mixed reactions amid fears that it will make the cost of transportation more expensive. Now, this is just a proposal. It's just one of the many proposals of laws. But what do you think about it? Do you think that probably that's the only way to get revenue for sustainability of this road infrastructure?
No, you know, what I would say is that, and good morning, Fred.
Good morning.
What I would say, because we have members of parliament and Kenya is domiciled within the national government, I think it's their mandate to go through those proposals. If the members of parliament think these proposals make sense, they should be the ones to decide.
But you're a road user. I'm asking you as a road user.
Yes, as a road user.
You use thicker road quite a number of times.
Yeah, but as a road user, if you ask me, I would say I want to buy fuel at half the price it is. But I don't always, you don't always get your way because there may be other factors at play. So I think the best thing is for the MPs, because you know they are directly mandated to deal with such matters,
okay,
to go through the proposed introduction of those levies. Then they are the one constitutionally mandated to act on the matter.
Okay.
Yes,
I'll still push you a bit on it because the cartoon on one of the dailies, in fact, two cartoons have dedicated their spaces to this debate. The cartoon on the Daily Nation and the cartoon on the Star. The issues about the proposal for tolling major roads. The debate is about, or the assumption is that most of those roads have been built through debt. And some of this debt was not made clear to Kenyans when or how exactly they were borrowed, how much was spent on these roads. But then when it comes to payment, now Kenyans are asked to come in and part with their hard-earned cash to pay back through toll stations. Do you agree with that approach?
But you see, you have just said, you yourself, you've just said that the roads have been built through debt. So it means you accept the fact that debts may have been used to build those roads. And the thing is, we already, like, when you are going through the expressway, you pay. I myself, whenever I use that road, I pay. And if it's such an arrangement, because you remember initially, people are complaining, but then again, after some time, I think we saw the sense of it. So that's why I've said, the best thing, it's not good to come and demonstrate.
It is a proposal and people
yes.
I'm asking you
and I'm also debating it, and I'm giving my opinion.
You're just saying you're leaving it to Parliament.
Of course it is.
Yes, that is granted.
Yes, because what is written in the newspaper. You know one thing I have found out: the things you normally find in the newspaper, and the things that are in the actual, if it's a bill, the things that are in the actual bill, at times are two different things. So that's why I'm saying, members of parliament, they have a duty to represent or the citizens of the country. So it's incumbent upon them to go through whatever these proposals are then they will be best placed to make a decision.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And we'll be inviting onto the set Njeri Kahiga, a national youth leader, political party PNU, to join us as we continue this discussion. The other proposal or proposed piece of legislation has to do with agriculture, and this is at the Senate level, which will directly affect even counties because they'll have to do the licensing. It is a big story on the front page of the Taifa Leo this morning, and it says faini ya shilingi milioni moja kupanda ndengu bila leseni. It is a proposal. Hakuna atakayeruhusiwa kupanda na kuuza pojo bila leseni kutoka kwa county, mswada ukiwa sheria. Wakulima wa zao la pojo maarufu kama ndengu sasa watahitajika kuwa na leseni kushiriki kilimo cha zao hilo, la sivyo watozwe faini ya shilingi milioni moja au watupwe jela miaka 2. Now this is a new kind of legislation. They're saying it's called Mung Beans. It's a Mung Beans Bill of 2022, which is currently before the Senate, which seeks to set tough conditions for licensing of marketers, processors, and large-scale traders of the beans. It states that a person shall not market, process, or carry out large-scale trading in mung beans or product unless a person has obtained a license from the relevant county government, a license which will be renewed annually. The bill is by Kitui Senator Enoch Wambua.
Yeah, and
do you propose that kind of approach to agriculture, where certain, like for the area you come from, I know there are so many coffee farmers that now you're told that for you to plant coffee, you need a license for that, which is renewable every year, or for you to plant maize, for example, you will need a license every year.
No, that's an opposition MP, because from where I sit...
If I hadn't mentioned Enoch Wambua, would you said something different?
But whatever it is, from where I sit, I would outrightly oppose such a bill. You know, the government has been trying to put incentives to boost our farmers. So I wouldn't, from where I sit, I wouldn't support such a bill. But again, if it will come to the county level, we will see it. But, you know, some of these things, you know, at times you even need to listen to the person moving such a motion because you wonder what the end game is. But from where I sit, it doesn't matter. I just wanted to things to be clear. It's an opposition person.
Simply because it's an opposition.
No, even if it was an MP, you know, even if it was a person from our side, I would still have opposed, because what's the logic behind it? What's the logic behind it?
All right.
Yes.
Njeri, good morning. Karibu sana.
Asante sana. Good morning.
We're just looking at some of the proposals of legislation and some other government proposals that are a bit controversial and have been captured in the dailies today. One of them is a proposal to have toll stations erected on major roads across the country, including superhighways, like the Thika superhighway, the expressways, the bypasses, including Dongokundu bypass. And I don't know, because Kiruga Dhuku says it is okay, and as long as it's government proposing this, then he is okay with that and he will support.
I'm not saying that.
The other one on Dengu, because it's been proposed by a member of the Wiper Party.
No, I think that you would misrepresent my view, because what I've said is because Kenya is domiciled within the national government, and matters national government are debated at the National Assembly level. So I've said it's incumbent upon the MPs, because if we are paying the expressway, and maybe they have certain loads, maybe not all of them. So I've said it's upon the members of parliament. Just like the way you have told me about the GUI, the county governments. If the motion comes there, I'll oppose. But this one, it's upon the members of parliament. They should just do justice to the proposals.
But what's your thoughts on this proposal to erect toll stations on major highways?
First of all, I want to tell you that I think by now you have already known that anything that comes from government, Kairuga will tell you it's upon the MPs, and anything that comes from opposition, he will tell you he will definitely vote it out. But to me, I think when we start thinking of taxing roads that have been used by Kenyans for years and years, like Thika Road is since Kibaki was there, and you know, it begs the question, why should you go back to backtrack a road that was done, and the person who did it and Kenya has not come into place this year or last year. It was still there during those times. And what I want us to understand as Kenyans is that this regime has gone to the extent of wanting to know where can we squeeze the Kenyan. Their need right now is to understand where can we milk more. They no longer care if it's even morally right. It's like, you know, giving somebody a house for free for 10 years, then you tell them now, you know, I've said that I want to be a landlord. Again, we are asking the question, we don't have a problem with paying taxes, but I'm not going to pay taxes on a road, Thika Road, when universities in Eldoret, Moi University is on its deathbed. I'm not going to be paying taxes of a road when my county government employees in Nyandarua County have not yet received salaries for a long time, you know. And we are not, no Kenyan is opposed to paying taxes. We are only opposed to paying taxes to a government that collects taxes to fund a lot of opulence and to fund a lot of irrelevant projects, and to even, to an extent, do budgeted corruption. For that is why I feel we should not be taxed about the roads. And somebody who is proposing for farmers to be added more taxes, whether they're in opposition or government, is somebody who needs to tell us, do you think where the economy is right now, you can go back to Mwananchi to squeeze them? What are we supposed to be doing? We are supposed to be cutting down on expenditure. And we have discussed this time and again. But I remember recently, even when the president himself had said that, oh, we need to do to cut down on expenses, we've still seen the office of the First Lady being funded over 500 million to pay I don't know which employees that work there, you know. And it begs the question, why do we have a two-sided story and a two-sided apology to Kenyans every time? You tell them this apology in the morning, then tomorrow morning you do exactly the opposite.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what does it do to the transport sector? Because now the fuel levy went up by 9 shillings a litre only last month. The other thing is that despite the courts declaring the Finance Act of 2023 unconstitutional, yesterday EPRA still maintained 16% VAT on fuel products, meaning that the price of fuel still remains high, despite even legislation not supporting the same. Now, if we were to toll roads, don't you think that transportation will become too expensive?
You know, Fred, we need to check. You know, it's good always to check on ourselves also, and we need to check on the kind of quality of debate we are engaging in here. Otherwise, that's why you find even someone like Robert Alai running away, because
who said he's running away?
No, he can. I know Alai is my very good friend. I know the kind of debates Alai will run away from, because we cannot come here and start debating proposals as if they are law. You know, this country is governed by law.
Are you saying we can only debate it once it's passed into law?
No, what I'm saying...
Kiroga is trying to show you
the issue is this.
I think he's a journalist.
This law is not being changed on this panel. And what I'm saying is...
You're saying there's debate and outcry out there.
Exactly.
Are you saying it is wrong for us to talk about it?
No, I'm not saying it is wrong to talk about it. But you see now the way like the PNU youth leaders, the kind of talk she's engaging in. You know, I don't know, the government, it's like the law has already been passed. There are proposals, you should make it clear to her.
Yes,
because no, don't inform me.
No, it is a point of information. We need to inform him. You cannot be lecturing our host on which question to ask. I
don't want to be informed. What I'm saying is this country is governed by rules. And you see, for example, during the budget making process, you know, it passes so many stages. And that is why you'll find even there are so many checks and balances. And that is why you'll find if money was committed somewhere, right, it must be used. If it have passed all legal hurdles. And you see, Fred, you know, we cannot just come...
My question was on double taxation of those people who are using roads. Yes?
Yes.
Because there's already the fuel levy, which went up.
Yes.
There's already VAT on fuel, which is now high. The taxation was doubled by the Finance Act of 2023, which has been declared unconstitutional. Now we have proposal of introduction of tolls. What does it do? What kind of effect does it have on transportation, including on matatus? Because everything goes up.
Of course.
Yes.
And that is why I've said and I'll keep repeating this as long as you ask me that question. We have members of parliament. Our members of parliament should keenly go through these proposals, and because their number one job there is to caution those people who have sent them to parliament. They should not allow us to be finured by those rules. So I believe our members of parliament are competent enough to go through those proposals and, if need be, make the necessary amendments. And personally, as a citizen of this country, if the matter comes to the National Assembly, I'll write my memorandum. You see, even during the vetting, I wrote several memorandums of supporting the ministers I believed I had reason to support, right? So, you know, it's not just good to come in the media and castigate. It's
not castigating. We're talking about legislation.
Yes, yeah.
We're not talking about
and it's a very good
government.
You have no mistake because you are reading what is in the papers, but the papers.
So the person wrote the newspaper is wrong.
Personally, what I'm saying, if it comes to the floor of the assembly, I'll write a memorandum in opposition.
All right.
I'll hear my suggestion.
Okay, let's talk about this this order by the courts on police action. It's there on the front page of the Standard. Protests, no more masked officers in civilian clothes. It's also there on the front page of the People Daily. Say new tough orders for police. Court directs that police officers should at all times wear name tags and service numbers to be displayed as part of uniform while deployed to protect demos. Jerry, this is something very welcome to Kenyans.
You see, now you even hear Kiruga asking who proposed that.
No.
Because now...
Make your own arguments without mentioning me.
No, I love to mention you because you're part of this panel, Kiruga.
I'll make my own position known.
Listen,
don't put words into my mouth.
Sasa unaona serikali mnakasirika bure.
Hakuna kukasirika.
When you are cornered, you just
I'll talk. No.
So on this protest...
I'll give my own opinion.
On this protest, one thing I am very sure, the courts have done very well, and they have done exactly what every other Kenyan was begging the question, because the moment people come to town and they are covered, we don't even know, somebody cannot even identify themselves. You've even listened to stories of people being abducted and they tell you the person who abducted me did not even introduce themselves as an officer. But at the end of the day, I found myself in a room where I was being interrogated by people who identified themselves as DCI. So I think the court and the judiciary, this morning, if there's any lawyer or maybe any magistrate or maybe anybody in the judicial system who is listening to me, I really want to appreciate them. They have really come through for Kenyans this time. I don't know if it's because now it has gotten to the point of if you don't talk when certain groups are being oppressed, when the time that your team comes, you'll also be oppressed. And Kenyans have had a very good kind of awakening, and I'm happy that courts have really come through. And when I talk of coming through, I don't mean they have been merciful to Kenyans. They have done what the constitution entails. But the problem is, are the Kenya police going to follow that? Is it going to be followed to law? Because I can tell you, tomorrow Maandamano are planned, you will still see people who are hiding their faces in town. You will still see people with folks of those, what are they called, those djembe rods and everything. And I can tell you, if the problem in this nation is not the court orders, the problem is a president who has decided that this nation will run on what he wants and what he does not want.
But the police is supposed to be an independent institution, away from...
And they have always been an extension of the executive, because when a police is on the road shooting live bullets on somebody who has not even a stone, because Gen Z, we can't even lift stones. Those people have been an extension of the executive for a long time. Throughout the Maandamano, we have witnessed that. Because how do you explain to us that we have people who have been killed, people who have sustained injuries? We have had even journalists who have been shot live bullets by a moving vehicle that we can clearly see this is a police vehicle, and the person shooting is not akurata watu wa Maandamano hapo, but they are just firing live bullets.
Okay.
So I think the independence of the police needs to be looked at. But I also think, as a young person who is, of course, a university graduate, I really feel it's time we narrowed down to our recruitment process of the police.
Okay.
Because the moment you bring into service somebody who has only been taught how to deal with crisis through combative measures, and this person has not been into an education center where they can be taught that you can diplomatically handle a situation, we need to bring ourselves to ask the question: is it time that we let the criminologists and those other kind of courses, Kenyans and the young people maybe have a place in the Kenya service, in the Kenya police service? Is it going to change anything? Is it time that we maybe did more funding when it comes to recruitment processes, where in as much as we take them to 9 months in Kiganjo for them to run and for them to have those combative measures, can we at least give them another 1 year in a training college?
And this declaration by the court is not something new, because this is simply an order to comply with the paragraph 10 of the 6th schedule of the National Police Service Act. It is part of the law.
Yeah.
So the High Court barred the Inspector General of Police from deploying officers in civilian clothing. He also ordered the security officers not to use vehicles without number plates. Neither should they hide their faces, and they should always have their service numbers displayed. But because this is still an inter-partes hearing to happen, and this might be determined later, do you think there's any justification for deployment of police officers who have hidden their faces and their number plates are hidden as well? Do you think there can be any justification?
With me, I would only think for any action to be taken, if the action is meant for good, then I think the police can also approach the court and state their case. There are instances, for example, if a criminal wants to commit a crime and they see uniformed policemen, they will run away. So in some of these instances, it's a matter of common sense that the police need to be in civilians. It requires so. Because, for example, if the police know that this station will want to be raided, some of them may even, and this is so legal, and this is all over the world, they can even wear a woman's clothes to conceal their identity.
Undercover police.
Undercover police. It is in law, it is allowed in law, as they endeavor to protect innocent Kenyans, innocent people.
But when it comes to taking care of demonstrations or protests, because the order talks about specifically about demos, that whoever, because the police are supposed to come and protect the demonstrators, that in that instance they should not cover their faces and should not use unmarked vehicles.
When it is about peaceful demonstrations, which all of us support, personally I have been involved in peaceful demonstrations in the past. When it is per se a matter of dealing with demonstrations which are peaceful, the court is totally right. But when we have a situation of criminal elements infiltrating peaceful demonstrations, they root, because I will always give you the example of the MP for Kenny's property in Nyeri town. We saw a lot of business premises being looted and burned down. When it comes to such a situation, that's not a peaceful demonstration. And the same law people are using to say the police should go there, or I don't know, identified, that assumes now the law, whoever is doing that, that's a terrorist. That's a terrorist and engaging in terrorism activities. So you don't then again come out to argue the police did not comply with the court order. No. As far as it's a peaceful demonstration, it's provided for in the law. But as far as criminal elements want to hide behind peaceful demonstration to wreak havoc on the country, to loot, to burn, to rob, no. The police was also justified to resort to undercover methods, or where they conceal their identity in order to apprehend the criminals.
Do you agree that there are instances that where some of these actions could be justified?
You see, I don't want member for Chinga to feel like I am insulting him, but some of these things are not even about basic knowledge. Some of these things are just even human nature, and you know, humanly, you cannot tell me that a police is coming to give me security when I am demonstrating, and he should cover his face because he needs to conceal his identity. There are things that are for undercover police, and undercover is even allowed to even change their language, to even change their mode of living and everything else. But the court has given strict orders on Kenyan police. You know, we need to just be open and be honest. You know, the problem of government supporters, and I have always said, is that they think if they say things as they are, tomorrow they'll be fired. Remember for Chinga, we will have to hold a very big electoral process for him to be removed from the seat that he has, unless the only thing that he can be kicked out of is NEC UDA. But sometimes I think he needs to speak things with reality, because at the end of the day, that is why you will always see nobody wants to listen to government, because every time they talk, even when things are blue and white, they simply want us to look at them from a green perspective. My concern with even these police orders is because, you see, the first countries like in the US, anybody who has traveled can tell you, those people have put them in their laws, and it is now very swiftly working. They even have dash cameras on their bodies for them to in future, if anything ever happens, they can tell you, no, this is what happened. The day that Kenya gets there, I can tell you for a fact, we'll do away with the hongo, chai, 50 shillings. We'll do away with a lot of people going to prison for quite innocent situations. Because if the moment of arrest, the person found me drinking alcohol, but when we get to the police station, I'm written for my crime is disturbance and violence and all that. But my only crime was maybe consuming illicit alcohol, you know. But the fact that I don't have that, the police officer does not have a dash cam, it makes it very impossible for the correct state of issue to be written down at a police station. So I think when the courts say they need not to conceal the identity, it narrows down to even helping the young people not to be abducted. And anybody opposed to that is simply upholding abduction in this country. Okay. Anybody opposed to what the court has given as orders is somebody who is okay with abductions, it's somebody who is okay with murder and all those kinds of things that are happening in this nation.
Okay. You see, recently we had a wave of very violent protests in Britain, and the new Britain Prime Minister came out very strongly to blame those protests and promised tough police action on such protests. You know, my sister here, I hear her saying, "Oh, I don't know, I should not be afraid of what." You know, she needs to know. By the time she was being born, I was tuned in political activism, almost 30 years back. So I don't have any reason to fear anything. I take my political stance very firmly. When the current president, almost everyone was running away from supporting him, I came out very strongly. That time he was the deputy president. In our area, you were even a marked person whenever you came out to support the then deputy president. But I came out very strongly. My conscience was very clear. I supported the man, as I still do today. And so, you know, it is all about, policemen are human beings too. And friend, you have seen instances, right? Where people, they are calling themselves demonstrators. You go out there, you have come from TV47 from your work, they accost you, they rob you, you lose your computer, you lose your gadgets of work. It cannot be allowed.
But don't you think that by the way police have been acting, as you might call them even like a ragtag militia, not identifiable, that is the same way that encourages other people to use the same way, that since we know that police are acting this way, you cannot identify them, that I too can bring goons who are not identifiable and make things worse?
No, you see, friend, and I believe the police can speak for themselves. But the thing is this, we've seen acts of hooliganism that needed police action. And you see, at the end of the day, every government in the world is obligated to ensure there is law and order. The police are obligated by law to ensure there is law and order. And some of the acts we have seen, friend, you know, they are bad. I don't support at all. You know, those acts that may be going out of the law. And we have independent bodies, friend, that are being paid for by taxpayers' money, such that if a police, you know, because I'm not saying they are clean 100%, but we have rules. If a police goes out of what is allowed in law, we have independent oversight bodies paid for by the taxpayers' money that should deal with such cases. But we cannot come here on a national TV and pass a blanket condemnation on people who are just doing their best to secure us. Okay. These people are living through very hostile, you know, environments at times. But if law is not observed, you know, we have laws.
I want us to close that debate.
I don't think it would be, you know, our topic is always called State of the Nation, and we cannot close this debate on police officers without us mentioning how a whole special forces was sent to the politician's Jimmy Wanjigi's mansion, and they were there for over 24 hours looking for somebody in the same house. And you know, I was asking myself, Kenya police, don't they feel embarrassed? I mean, the whole world was watching them. You know, I've seen those videos of those guns that even have, I don't know, a red dot here in front. Very combative measures to go look for somebody. Yeah? Those are measures that you use in Haiti, Bwana, not for somebody who is in his own house, and you are threatening the wife, the kids, and everything. And somebody wants to tell us that, no, police officers can conceal their identity, they can do I don't know what. We are not going to allow somebody, simply because you feel that your government is benefiting from these kind of things, you want to tell us that we are bashing the police officers, we are castigating their fate and all that. We are simply asking they identify themselves, come and give us court orders. You know, you can't just walk into a TV station like this and tell us that you have been sent by I don't know who, you are waiting for orders by I don't know who for you to do what. People need to follow the Constitution. If you need to go look for somebody, have court orders. If it's about treason, we can allow you even pick them in with helicopters. But you cannot go to look for somebody. You want to do investigations. You don't even have what you're investigating, but you are thinking you want to do investigations, and then you spend a whole troop of over 30 people, over 50 soldiers outside there embarrassing us in front of the world that Kenyan police could not find somebody in his own office, in his own home. Then he comes on media and tells them, I was in that house, I was seeing you. It's very embarrassing, Bwana. Government, spend our resources on paying university teachers, not kushinda kwa watu nje.
You know, the thing is this. You know, friend, we have every sector in this nation, we have laws governing how you operate. And I'm telling you, today, anyone, if the police have any lesson, maybe intelligence reports on what have you, if the police think there is something they should be coming to your house to investigate you on, they will come. It doesn't matter how much you will shout. It doesn't matter how powerful you are. They will come. And, you know, we are saying if you feel your rights have been trespassed upon, of course you can go to court. But you know, the thing is this, friend, and we need to say this because we belong to this country, we have seen our children die. If intelligence report shows you are paying, inciting uprisings, you are not sending your own children, you are sending other people's children. The police will come for you. And it is very sad because people are used to a lot of lies in this country. And I'm happy that we no longer now see innocent children being sent to the streets to die there as those selling wine and dine in state mansions. You see? So the issue is this.
Are you saying Jimmy Wanjigi's children should have been part of the protest? Because
of course.
But they have been there.
No, you
see, Kiroga, you are just misinformed.
If you want people to go and burn parliament, send your own children.
But they have been there.
So the thing is this, but you know, even if you said your own children to go and do a criminal, something criminal, It doesn't change.
The
But
protests,
Fred,
there's a difference between criminality and peaceful.
I want to ask.
So the question is, which one are you referring to?
With me, I'm referring to when you said people shouldn't to go and ban other people's businesses. That is criminal.
But in peaceful protest, you can. Can you support a peaceful protest?
I've been engaged in very many peaceful protests, but what
Fred,
you are saying, Fred, there was nothing. There was nothing peaceful. There was nothing. There is nothing peaceful about banning people's businesses.
I want you. You know, I just want to make myself an informed citizen, and I want you to, like a small baby, allow Kiroga inform me if there is a law that prohibits anybody funding peaceful demonstration. Is there such a law, Kiroga?
No, you know, me, I don't want to discuss frivolity, Fred. When you fad people to go and ban the National Assembly of a country, that is treason.
Okay. We'll leave it there because the debate is on peaceful protest versus criminality.
Yes.
Let's talk about politics and something big that is hitting the headlines. It's also on the front page of the Daily Nation. Mount Kenya love affair with governor impeachments. Kawira Mwangaza, her case is for the third time before the Senate. Yesterday, the Senate held a special sitting where they voted to have the case heard in plenary so they wouldn't go the committee way. But according to the Daily Nation, they said this is something that is rampant in the region, that is Mount Kenya. So they've listed Kawira Mwangaza there, Kirinyaga Governor Anne Waiguru, former Embu Governor Martin Wambora, and ex-Kiambu Governor Ferdinand Waititu. The feeling is that there could be a misuse or abuse of the impeachment process by county assemblies. You are a member of the county assembly, of a county assembly. Do you believe that this is true? That some of your colleagues, not necessarily in Nyeri County, in other counties, could be abusing the impeachment process intentionally to hold the governors at ransom?
I wouldn't say that because they are the ones and using the processes provided to them by them. And it comes out very strongly that people can impeach the first time, the second, the third. It shows there is some level of disagreement that they have been unable to resolve. But nonetheless, I wish all of them could sit down, because you see, whether you are a governor, whether you are an MCA, whether you are an MP, whether you are a senator, the end game is the same: service delivery to the common mwananchi. So I wish they had better ways to resolve those differences. But you see, the circuit may be short-changing somewhere.
Even with the differences, because differences will always exist, the fact that MCAs always resort to the impeachment card whenever they disagree with the governor on any issue, isn't that an abuse of the process?
They don't always. I don't think it would be proper to say they always resort to that, because I think we, like in our county, we've had moments of disagreement with our governor. We sit down, you know, we have working processes on how to resolve those contentious issues. So I don't think it would be proper to say that MCAs always resort to impeachment. And that, you know, the reason I'm saying there could be a problem somewhere, because ideally, if the governors, or like the case before now, the Senate again, if the governor and those MCAs, if all of them sat down and genuinely decided to address their grievances, I don't think the matters would.
There have been instances where they've sat down, and this has been brokered by very high officers, including the president and his deputy. The fact that this is the third time that the county assembly has impeached the governor, it says a lot. It's less than 2 years.
You know, sitting down, Fred, you know, we may sit down and we talk and we agree we will do things this way. Maybe one of the sides is not doing what they agree in these meetings. Otherwise, this agitation shows there is an underlying problem that has not been resolved. And I'm telling you, from the very first time that this matter was discussed, or this disagreement came out, and there was an impeachment, it was brought to the Senate, I'm telling you, those factors that led to that impeachment they have remained unsolved. And you see, if there is a disease, for example, you see now there is this monkeypox that has come. If you go and start treating fever, that disease can actually, in the long run, it may kill you. So misdiagnosis of the problems at play might be the problem we are having, and in fact, that is what
misdiagnosis by who?
By the parties involved.
Okay.
Because you see, when there are underlying issues, it's just like a disease. You treat the long problems. So the little problems will keep pestering, and they will permanently keep the MCAs and the governor at a war.
But from an MCA's perspective, if at all you've tried to impeach the governor twice unsuccessfully, does it make sense to go for the same kind of process?
You can even go 10 times, because you see, there is a certain law, or we have laws. These laws clearly stipulate if you believe this happens, the cure by the law is this. If this happens, the law provides the cure as this one. So
the only option they have is impeachment.
Maybe according to them, it's provided for in the law. But what I'm saying, Fred, is that the kind of problems they have in their county, they have not been properly addressed from the word go. And I'm telling you, Fred, even if these people have 20, 30 meetings, as long as those contentious issues are not properly addressed from both parties, these people will always be at war until the time of elections, or until that county is dissolved.
Okay. And now that you've talked about, and you've just mentioned it, the fact that for every problem there's a remedy that is already prescribed by law. One of those is what you just mentioned, Article 192, suspension of a county government. In 2 years, 3 impeachments against the governor. We've seen intervention from the highest office in the land, still not working. Do you, as a member of the Nyeri County Assembly, as a chair of the UDA MCA's caucus, do you believe that probably it is time that this article is invoked, and that we should be heading towards dissolution of the Meru County, watu warudi kwa debe?
No, it's the prerogative of the president to decide on that. With me, what I would say, because again I know the kind of cost that it will involve if we go that route, but again it is a prerogative of the president.
But the conflict has persisted.
Yeah, sure, but if the parties involved were to listen to me, I would touch them. Let me tell you, friends, there is something, and I'll keep saying this, Fred, there is something that have happened from the word go, and it have not, even if they sit, even if we come here, we say, you will not be doing this, you will not be doing this, then it continues being done. There is something terribly wrong in that county.
If it was happening in Nyeri County, that the county assembly and the governor simply do not see eye to eye, and they do not agree on anything, and that definitely affects the functioning of the county government, don't you think that dissolution is actually the best way?
Sure, it is one of the cards. It's one of the legal instruments. I'm just saying this is my opinion, in a very weighty matter. And you see, like I've told you, Fred, people will always disagree here and there. But you see, I even tell my governor, Governor, we may come from different perspectives when it comes to national matters and party matters, but on matters development, we give you a thumb. Because then again, most of the problems or most of the issues MCAs always want to raise have to do with the grassroots development. And if you want to have a very big war with MCAs, it's when they feel they are not, they are not operating in such a manner that will allow them to serve their people well. And that is why you see we have been agitating for independence of the assemblies. And I'm very grateful because the president and the government have really supported us on these matters. A ward fund that is not controlled by the county executives, because so that money comes.
A ward fund that is not constitutional as we speak.
Yeah, it's not constitutional, but you see, there is nothing that stops funds being, cascaded to other wards. There is nothing. And you see, everything, can be uncut. It takes just a matter of discussion and acceptance, because matters ward fund, for example, that bill is in the Senate. They are discussing it so that it is legally operationalized. And you see, take Nyeri County, for example. To the credit of the Nyeri County government, our governor sat with all the elected MCAs, and this have happened this time, even the last time I was there, because I've been re-elected. The governor sat with MCAs, and we lobbied the governor so that resources, we have a chunk of resources going directly down to the wards. And
if you would have refused that kind of lobbying and said no to that proposal,
of course it would even have been bad for him, because you see, it's not
you would be facing the same problem as Kawira.
No, I don't want to say that, but you see, it is good to realize or to expound on what this entails. For example, in Nyeri, this financial year, we have 21 million for every ward. The role of the MCA, you don't touch that money. You identify the project, right? You take it to the executive, they implement as you oversight. And this have really helped, like Nyeri County, because you see, development is uniformly distributed among the wards. Even if we come now and have flagship projects, at least people down there, they'll see their bridges, their access roads. For example, yesterday, I spent almost the whole day doing patches of the roads with Malam that has been destroyed by the rain.
Okay.
That's
Jerry, the issue is, could MCAs be holding governors at ransom because of the threat of impeachment?
The issue of impeachment is a very delicate issue to discuss, especially by the fact that all politics are quite local, and the fact that to an extent maybe it's time we looked into the governor, deputy governor, MCA kind of arrangement when we go to the county government. Because you see, somebody might say, of course, there's misuse of office. If MCAs feel like, you're not giving us what we want, we can impeach you any other day. But again, it also brings the question, those counties that are not impeaching their governors, is it to mean that development is happening? Because if you were to ask me, Meru County have gone for 3 impeachments. Nyandarua County, this regime, last regime, Nyandarua has never even gone for an impeachment motion, apart from the previous regime where there was disagreement between the speaker and the governor. And it never got to the discussion of the impeachment of the governor. But if you were to ask me, as a Nyandarua resident, if I think it is okay for the Meru people to go for the third time for impeachment, I would tell you if the law would allow us to hire Meru MCAs for at least 1 month, that one opportunity, they bring it to Nyandarua, because as we have valid reasons. Our only problem maybe is because the county assembly is in bed with the county government, and there is no impeachment that is going to be discussed today or tomorrow. That one we are sure of. And
don't you think that is actually the crux of the problem, the crux of the matter, that MCAs have managed to box governors into ensuring that they set aside funds for each ward as a prerogative, so as to deter any possibility of an impeachment. And failure to do that, they'll just be dangling that threat that will impeach you in no time.
It is a two-way kind of threat. It's a two-way kind of threat issue here. One, MCAs can hold hostage the governor, and 2, the governor can hold the MCAs hostage by giving them money to allow him for the county assembly to allow him do whatever he wants with the allocated funds to him. In an instance where a governor, for instance, me, I come from Nyandarua County, is from Nyeri County. You've not had impeachment in Nyeri, he's a 2-term governor, right? But in Meru, now the issue has become too much, and I think we need to narrow down to the question of, now that MCAs and the governor hawaskizani, can we try listen to common mwananchi, can we have public participation, and not public participation that is politically pushed? Can we first get a data analysis that tells us what the Meru resident feels? Are they okay with this kind of thing? Do they feel the governor is performing? And if they're not, if they feel the governor, because again, you remember roads and everything else done in a ward are not done by the MCA. The MCA is just an oversight body. If the governor is doing what she's supposed to be doing in Meru, why is the impeachment motion coming? Because they cannot work properly in county government. But again, we need to ask ourselves, does it mean that when people fight too much, it is a problem and an abuse of power? And when the speaker and the county assembly and the governor are in bed and there is no fights, we want to look at it like it's a card of saying that there are no wars because development is happening. It's a very tight balance, because I can tell you for a fact, there are counties that if they were to bring their cases on the table of the Senate, those governors would go home very early in the morning. Okay. And there are counties that are going to be bringing impeachment motions. And when you listen to their reasoning and their reasons, and you understand this is more political than it is about these offices doing their mandate. Okay. And we also need to narrow down to the question of when a governor is impeached, according to the current law of Kenya, the deputy governor becomes automatically the governor. We need to ask ourselves, could there be some motives from some deputy governors for their bosses to go home, for them to take into power? So it begs the question that we also have in national government. Is it time that Kenyans do, maybe we do some memorandum and we go back to the ballot and decide, is it time that we clearly elect deputy presidents and deputy governors so that these people can have power in their offices? Because I can tell you for a fact, Fred, if you allow me, if you come to some counties, Nyandarua or maybe other counties, you will realize some deputy governors don't even have roles. They just wake up, go to the office, read the newspaper and go home. Because everything is left on the governor. He has the power, he controls the money. Remember, the county assembly does not give any budget allocation to the office of the deputy governor. They have no, where they say the deputy governor's office should be given 100 million. It is entirely the executive. So they rely on the governor. When he's given a share of 100 shillings, he can decide to give the deputy 50 shillings or 100 shillings.
Is it possible Is it possible for some forces to actually influence an impeachment?
Before I even answer you that, it's not true that the deputy governor's offices don't have kitties. Whenever a budget is being brought to the county assembly, as much as the office of the governor will have a budget, at that office, even money is going to the office of the deputy governor, money is going to the county secretary, money is going to each department. They are contained there. And you see, you go item by item and you vote to allow for, those expenditure.
The deputy governor of Nyeri County has...
Yes. And for example, it will be indicated there, this happens in the office of the deputy governor and the...
But the office of the governor and deputy governor are treated as one in county government act.
No, yes, but I'm saying I sit in those budget meetings. You know now that
you see
now the problem. You see now the problem of someone wanting to come and preach to you the color of the bed sheets in your bedroom. So
the question is it possible for some forces outside the county government to influence an impeachment motion in the county assembly?
Of course it is. Of course it is very possible. But what we are seeing here, Fred, is because it's not good to lose the larger and very important picture. You see, today, the politics we have, the politics of today, they are not just about speaking. I can come here and speak, but is there any development happening in my ward? And if you look keenly, you realize MPs, when there was this day to remove CDF fund, they almost rioted. Every kind of leadership these days, from MP, women reps, senators, every cadre of leadership, it needs resources that will go to the ground. And that's why we are saying, and
so that's the bone of contention.
The bone of contention can become, because you cannot make an MCA Africa head. If you try to do that, there will be trouble. Personally, as I view, I knew very clearly I want to make change in the lives of my people. And MCAs, because now I'm in MCA leadership both at the party level, I also represent my county in the County Assemblies Forum. MCAs are not asking for anything out of the ordinary. They even don't want to touch that money. But what the MCAs are demanding for, and we use Nyeri as a classic example of the success of this, they are the ones who live with their people in their wards. So in fact, this money is not for MCAs. And that is why it is being called ward fund, so that MCAs can identify with the problems, affecting their people. They bring them, the governor remains the implementer. But you see, Fred, even some of our governors, they are bringing these problems upon themselves, because when you come, you take 5, 6, M7, or quite a number of MCAs, you identify them as your friends, and you say these are the areas I will be doing development. You will have a lot of problem with the other MCAs, because development, and this is where I want to thank Governor Kahiga. I'm telling you, Governor Kahiga, we may disagree on matters national politics, but the fact that we sit down and each ward is allocated a certain amount, then the MCAs are able to bring this project to the table. They don't implement. The county government implements, and the oversight.
Question is, in the Nyeri County Assembly,
yes,
UDA has a majority.
Yes, absolute.
You are a member of the UDA party.
Yes.
The governor is a UDA member.
Yes.
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 Could that be the issue? That probably because Kawira Mwangaza is an independent member, she has no control of any party bloc within the county assembly, that the UDA or the PNU or any other party within the county assembly does not necessarily have to support this governor, and therefore any impeachment proposal could easily pass against her.
That's another factor, because even in Nyeri, during the first assembly, the governor then, the late Diritu Gachagua, he was in GNU and he had very few MCs, and there was a lot of trouble.
There was a proposal at some point to possibly impeach him.
No, he was they tried to impeach him at that time. And you see, I think this even to the voters, in future, they should look keenly at this one. But nonetheless, I don't think just because a governor has been elected, as an independent, much as we know, the MCs, they are not obligated to support the governor, maybe who is an independent or such a thing. Much as we know, she may not command, or he or she may not command the party strength. It's important always, right? It's very, very important to come to the table, genuinely discuss, because that thing, at the end of the day, Fred, this will keep taking us back to point A.
Okay.
That there needs to be a lot of goodwill. But then again, as you have hinted, there could be other factors. There could be other people coming, from outside to influence things. But if you sit as a governor with your MCAs, and through goodwill, you agree on a roadmap, and it is you stick to that roadmap, I think things will be better for you.
Fred, I really feel that I need to explain this in a very Wanjiko perspective, because I can tell you for a fact, if we narrow down the case of Meru as abuse of office, we are going to be giving governors who are in bed...
Abuse of power by the county assembly.
Abuse of the county assembly. We are going to be giving governors who are in bed with the county assembly more freedom to continue with whatever they are doing. And I wanted to narrow it down for you how it looks in black and white, because if a governor who, for instance, let us just assume that this particular governor of no particular county is looting public funds and decides to share them with the county assembly, you can be very sure there will be no impeachment. But if this governor is looting and does not share the proceeds with the county assembly, most probably there will be cases of impeachment. But again, it narrows down to us as Wanjiko. The one who is, both of them stealing, it's very wrong. But one is stealing and sharing with the MCAs and bringing us bare minimum developments, and our MCAs cannot question the bare minimum developments because they are part of the deal. And in the other hand, the other one is stealing, bringing us probably fair development and maybe bare minimum development. And it begs the question, where should we really be discussing about the independence of the county assemblies? Should we even be discussing about the civic duty that every citizen has to hold their MCA accountable of their action. Because I can tell you the case of Meru, we as women in politics might look at it from a patriarchy aspect, where we say maybe the people of Meru have not made peace with the fact that a woman can be a governor. Another person will tell us, no, in politics, nobody is a man or a woman. But again, I need to tell you this clearly. In counties where the governor is in bed with the speaker, no impeachment will ever come. Whatever may, it will never come.
Even an independent candidate?
Nobody will. You see, the politics of this nation have narrowed down to who is rubricating our hands, who is doing what for us. And I can tell you, I have very many friends in the county assemblies, but I can tell you, if the MCAs are eating with the governor, that county will be quiet. And who is going to be complaining? It's Wanjiku. But again, if the county assembly is asking for impeachment, does not mean that they want to be part of the route. Sometimes they just want to clear the whole mess. And maybe it's time that the president does what was done by the previous president in Makueni, where the whole county assembly is disbanded and we go back to the ballot, and we understand should now every MCA also plead their case with Wanjiku, because we cannot imagine every instance that this impeachment is happening, the Senate has to hold their proceedings to first address this issue. The county government of Meru goes at standstill. And again, in between the political circles, some sides benefit when there is a fire, because you can be very sure when somebody is faced with an impeachment motion, whatever offer that comes with the table, whatever the cost they're going to pay for it. So at the end of the day, public funds are being misused. And we are going to be looking at a situation where if we don't amend the structure between the governor and the deputy governor, we might find impeachments in Kenya will not come to an end, because we cannot also overlook the factor that a deputy governor can want their boss out for them to take over, because they can clearly tell you, if a governor decides their deputy will never do anything and they will never make any decisions, it's going to be so. The same with the president. If he does not delegate these roles to the deputy president, you know very well the office of the deputy president gets its command from the president. So it's time, I think, also the deputy position, both president and the deputy governor, are maybe given more power so that they are not under the masses of their governors.
I want to inform you something, Fred. You know, the fact that you hear wars in a county doesn't necessarily mean that work is going on. We have Nyeri as the best example. The first assembly, there were lots of acrimonies, you see. There was lots of fight between the MCAs and the governors. Nyeri was number 45 countrywide, 45, 46, 47.
In terms of development.
In terms of development. Then came the second assembly, which I was part of. And we sat down, we agreed, we are here to serve Wanjiku. We are not here because we love each other very much. We are here, we've been placed here by God and people to serve the common Wananchi. And that's how we agreed, let the sources go to the ground. And I'm telling you, most of the fights in the political circles, friend, they're about resources to the people. Because with me, I would fight so hard to see resources going to my people. And with that kind of unified approach, Nyeri was able, Nyeri is always number 1 to 5. It have never gone, in terms of development in the whole republic, Nyeri has not gone from further than number 5. So the issue, friend, is people need development. People need, the people of Shinga did not elect me to go and quarrel with the governor. You know, as long as there are processes, we are agreeing on processes of getting resources to reach them.
Okay.
I will look like a mad person when I am just going making noise all over. So the issue is, even that Nyadalo, because, you know, now with me, courtesy of the leadership positions I have in the party and in the MCA's bodies like CAF, because I represent Nyeri, I'm one of the representatives of Nyeri County. You see, the MCAs, these are people who went out there to people and they campaigned. We will always call for conducive environment to be provided, especially by the county governments, in order for the MCs to be able to serve the people. And one of these, and our governors should know, and we say this with tremendous respect to them, one of the greatest ways of finishing fights in any county, sit down with your MCs, agree on how you are going to use resources in their wards. Because at the end of the day, this money is not, and there is no single MCA I've found fighting that I'm fighting my governor because I want the governor to give me money to put in my pocket.
Fred,
it's about resources to the people.
Fred,
yes.
Let us be honest. You know, I cannot sit in a national television as a young person in politics who understand what happens between the governor and the MCAs and not tell Kenyans that MCAs sometimes demand for money from the governor. Sometimes the governor bribes them to keep quiet. Because I can tell you for a fact, I'm from Nyandarua County. And were it not for the fact that an impeachment in Nyandarua cannot go through because our governor and our county assembly, they are in one page, I can tell you for a fact, if Kenyans were allowed, although I think it is provided in the law where the public can write proposals or memorandums to the county assembly when they feel they are offended with their leaders. But I can tell you for a fact, MCAs and governors will always be quiet at each other as long as they are both eating. And by eating, I mean they are both looting public funds. Okay. And for the Meru people, now that you have done impeachment 3 times and it's not 2 times, it has not gone through. Please allow even Nyandarua County, we first go for our impeachment. Then we teach you how to do impeachment. Then you can bring yours later.
You know, friends, it's always good. You know, when you claim, when you have claims that there are bribery, taking place. We have so many bodies in this country. We have the DCI, we have the police, we have the EACC. Okay. Don't just come and make blanket allegations on.
Let's focus a bit on the Senate.
Just go and report to the relevant authorities.
The Senate action. We've seen the Senate has handled this impeachments from Meru County twice. One time through a committee, the second time through plenary. This time around, they've opted for the plenary again. Do you think that's the best way to handle impeachment motions?
Yes. Yeah, because you see now when it is a group of about 10, 11 people, then those claims of allegations, those allegations of bribery will come up. So the Senate, they want all of them to be there so that someone doesn't say, no, this group was influenced to come up with this report. This small group was influenced to favor someone. So I think that is the way to go. When the whole Senate listens to this case, because you understand even it's a very delicate issue. So let whatever decision that comes, it will be a collective decision from the whole Senate.
Okay. Plenary versus committee.
You see, I think Keruga is just avoiding to admit that corruption in this nation does not mean 10 people. If I am moneyed enough, I can bribe a whole parliament. And the question of corruption narrows down to how much can you afford to corrupt your way up. Being in 11 people, a committee of 11 people might even be more expensive, because if I was to give them each 100,000, you see now that is only 1.1 million. But when I am going to people like 47 senators, I may tell them, now you see my fate is on your hands and you people are very many. Please allow me to just buy lunch of 10,000. And it happens. These are not things. We have even had members of parliament say they are given money in the toilets, they are given money in the corridors of parliament. And I can tell you, the question of corruption is not eliminated by the factor of committee or the preliminary. No. What it is simply, for me, I would look it from an aspect of now the Senate is also feeling like it's tired. They are now feeling this issue is too much. And because the president and the Mount Kenya kingpin, alleged kingpin, who has been saying Mount Kenya is under control, has not even managed to control Meru, because Meru and Nyeri, they use the same route. I expected the deputy president by now, if he's really the kingpin of Mount Kenya, as he says, he should have gone to Meru and sat them down. He has done that, but at times he say, now I've left them to decide on their own. No. Leadership dictates if you are supposed to bring people together, you do it to the end. If you have decided to talk to them until you find a solution, because this thing is also going to get to political issue of the governor who is there came with a ticket of independent candidate, and we saw the lady some time back being received in State House that she has joined UDA. So it brings a lot of politics. But I think if you were to ask me, if I was the Speaker of the Senate, I would maybe first send all my 47 senators in their own way and in their own time to go to Meru County and listen. Each senator should listen to at least 10 people from different locations and get their views, because now it's no longer about politicians, it's about the Meru people. And I want to ask the Meru people, if you people are not tired of your MCAs doing impeachment, maybe it's because you are the one sending them. But if you people are tired, it's time 2027, you make better decisions. Because at the end of the day, we have to call it as it is. It does not mean that that woman is the worst governor that this nation has had. We have had worse governors than she is, and we have had better governors than she is going to be. Okay. But sometimes I also think we need to allow women in politics just do politics. Because, you know, the Meru people might not have really accepted that a woman can be a governor, and the first gentleman can be a young man who can play guitar.
As we come to the end of this conversation, I want us to, I'll draw attention to the cartoon on the Standard today. It paints a picture of what's happening at the national level in as far as politics is concerned. And we have the predominant yellow and green.
Where is the cartoon?
It's there on the Standard. It's there on our screens as well. But you do have a copy of the Standard there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Yes. So, the Gen Z were on one side in red and black. Everyone else appears to be in green and yellow. And for the first time, we're seeing a caricature of the retired president being shown where, even as a referee, because he has a whistle there, that is in yellow and green. And we've seen instances where the name of the retired president is being invoked. Either to say that you're the kingpin of one area, you invoke the president and you say, tuliongea na Uhuru Kenyatta, now we hear even Raila Odinga, in his latest move to join the government, aliongea na Uhuru Kenyatta pia. So, do you agree with this representation that the yellow and green is a collection of all politicians who have coalesced to disenfranchise the Gen Z?
No, you know, Fred, one thing I have told you in the past, and I don't know whether it is you, I was telling how I went to a function in my ward recently, and there were so many Gen Zs, and they were asked, should the MCA speak? Oh, they said, yes, he's one of us, he's one of us. Because you realize, like the current crop of Gen Zs in my area, I've supported them since, you know, they were young kids in the, maybe some from nursery school, because you see, like now the way we have even a foundation, it's just an expansion of what we have been doing in the past. Even before I was elected, I have a passion for supporting, you know, children, the youth coming up that way. It's very passionate, and women and the whole society. So this notion that there is a deliberate move, maybe I don't know where it be, you know, to disenfranchise the Gen Zs. Personally, it would be very far from me. These are our children. Do you know that these are our sons and daughters? Yes, so we can always embrace them. We can always advise them. So, number one, that's what I would say.
But when politicians coalesce together, it is to their disadvantage.
It is not a matter of coalescing together. You know, friend, people will always coalesce towards certain causes. With me, I can always coalesce with people of like mind. And my mind is always very clear. It's about development, development, development. And you see, when the, you know, prime cabinet, you know, the prime minister says they've talked with Uhuru, you know, they've been very close. You cannot question. That shows it's the truth. You know,
a week before he had told us that it's President William Ruto who reached out and sought his help.
I've always told you.
1 week later, it's Uhuru Kenyatta who did it.
But those are not contradicting statements.
They are.
See, the issue is the president could have reached out, and also the former president could have okayed the move, talk with the president. So I've told you severally here, friend, the rich Mzee John Mishuki used to say, politics is like a river. You keep juggling, otherwise it will fall down. So I see nothing. In fact, that one, if the former, I've seen those people who are telling us to wear sufurias on their head so that prices of maize can come down, coming out to say the former president have not spoken. The former president, they are not the spokesperson of the former president, and we know it is very clear in our minds how they misled the former president, even as we tried to explain to him that the ground had shifted. So those are the people we cannot even listen to. Okay. The former president, and it is good I say this, some of us, for example myself, when he was president, even in his retirement, I've never uttered a single negative word against that gentleman. In fact, I only differed with him in opinion. So, if what Prime Minister Raila Odinga said is the truth, that the former president told him, talk with the president so that we bring peace to the country, that is the statesmanship we want the former president to continue having, because that is very good. If we did that, I want to commend him here on national TV and actually tell him that is the way to go, because there is no glory in a former president and the current president fighting.
Jerry, listening to these leaders, even the deputy president invoking the name of the retired president, and now Raila Odinga doing the same, it would appear the Uhuru Kenyatta currency is quite at its premium right now. That everyone wants to be associated with that to justify their actions.
You see, in this nation, we have a problem of people having selective amnesia when it comes to issues. Because if an SG of a political party, such as Jubilee, comes and tells us that the president, who is his party leader, has not at any point told the Baba to go to Ruto for whatever background handshake that it is, and we decide, and Kiroga is here telling us that, he's just a man who wears sufurias. We should not, he's misleading, but he wants us to believe that Baba, simply because Baba said that is what is the truth. He's just telling us that this regime has realized the only left sanitizer is Uhuru Kenyatta. They know what they have done is wrong. They know Kenyans are mad about this handshake. No matter how much they want to say there's no handshake, that is clearly handshake. And you see, they're even afraid by the fact that when Uhuru Kenyatta did his handshake in 2018, he was bold enough to come out and greet this person in public, but he never gave him any ministry. He never gave him any seat in government. But this one, we have seen 4 CAs coming through Baba. We also heard of a rumor of PSAs are also going to come in from ODM. And I can tell you for a fact, this is nusu mkate. Last was handshake. This should not even be called handshake. It should be called nusu mkate. And you remember there was a time that the Kenya Kwanza politicians were saying Maandamano is funded by Uhuru Kenyatta. Mwangeke is funded by Uhuru Kenyatta. They have used the name Uhuru Kenyatta to even things that even me morally as a young politician, I feel this is too much. Because I can tell you we should have even seen at least a photo. You want to tell me the deputy president and the former president would have sat down and agreed for them to apologize to each other, and the deputy president to proceed to apologize to the former first lady, and she did not even get a photo? So they have decided they are going to use the name Uhuru Kenyatta to sanitize themselves. And I don't hold brief for the former president, but I can tell you for a fact, Uhuru Kenyatta is not a coward. If he had really sent Baba to go to State House, of which Baba also previously had told us that he's not even going to go, then now again, Niruto aliniita. Then again, he has realized, you are yendi. Okay, ni Uhuru aliniambia, for the peace of this nation, we need to come together. They are simply misusing the good currency of our former president. And I want to tell Kiroga here very much openly, Kenyans are not stupid. Kenyans can look at things. And Kenyans have gotten to a point where even if you tell them who approved, they don't care. For them, they did not approve it. You understand? And it's time the deputy president is told by somebody close to him, stop coming to tell us you and Uhuru Kenyatta reconciled. At least one day invite him to a function in your home. He tell us, nilisamehea huyu jamaa. And let us listen to the former first lady tell us, I forgave this young man. Okay. You understand? Yeah. And then again, Kenya Kwanza politicians need to understand, if Baba right now is an honest person, that is double standards. Because I can tell you for a fact, if Ruto himself can lie about every other thing in this nation, Gachagua can lie about their forgiveness story, why should Baba not lie about Uhuru sanitizer? And I want to tell Kenyans of this nation, if a party of as a party secretary general cannot say anything that he knows would jeopardize the relationship between him and the party leader. Okay. So if the position of Jubilee is clearly saying that Uhuru Kenyatta has not had anything to do with this handshake, then Kenyans should go by that, because I know he communicates with his party officials. Okay. And my final comments today, I really want to go back to the most trending issue of impeachment in this nation. I really want to ask county assembly members, please, even if you feel you are okay with the governor, but Wanjiko in your ward are kindly telling you this is wrong, for the sake of this nation, for the sake of Wanjiko of this nation, because everything narrows down to local politics, please hold your governors accountable. Please hold Wanjiko, hold your members of parliament accountable, and come 2027. Our voters, please, let us be very honest when it comes to the ballot. I hope the last minute we are not going to come back with the story of, you know, they came and told us they are going to change. You know, they told us Uhuru Kenyatta has forgiven them and we have given them our votes back again. Then we go back to 5 more years of saying we brought back Keroga, but now he did not do what he did, despite the fact that he is going to say Uhuru Kenyatta had sanitized him.
Keroga now says Uhuru Kenyatta is his good friend.
No, I've never.
Everybody right now is a friend of Uhuru Kenyatta.
Me, I've always challenged anyone who have ever had me insult him to come forward. Now, you know, friend, I think with all due respect, the kind of leadership, you know, these PNU guys, you know, PNU, they have a real problem. I've debated like 3, and they are very young people. That is the most sad thing. They talk all manner of things on TVs. They cannot even win a single seat anywhere on the ground. They come here. You will hear. You will hear. Or you will hear. No. With me.
Party.
No, I'm not insulting.
He's insulting my party because Zach.
Have I?
On the other.
No. What I've said. What I've said. What I've said.
Bring that argument here.
Yeah. What I've said is, we have a problem with them. None of them.
Have a problem with our party.
And you see, that is the only, that is a party that have no single MP in this country. They should
You're
go.
Giving your final comment.
Yes.
That's your final.
Yeah, I am very grateful that he has decided.
My final comment is.
No, that was
my final comment is. It wasn't. No, you are not the moderator.
But I have to respond to
the issue is, friends. We've always said, the country is bigger than any individual. From where I'm seated here, President for creating this broad-based government, because again, people fight when they feel they've been left out of the government for too long. When we have, even the president, like last week, we were with all these ministers, you know, they were coming at the border of my ward, and I went there, and it was so good seeing Honorable Pio Adayo. You know, he's my friend. I was telling him there, I used just to see you hammering us in Parliament. It is so good now to see you fighting alongside us here to give development to the people. And so the thing is, we are happy that the whole country, as the president has been saying, will be involved, all the leaders will be involved in serving Wanjiko. And I think all of us now, we need to forget about those past shenanigans, who fought who. All of us, you can even see now our party leader, our deputy party leader, now people are focused on service delivery, and that's the way to go. Even if the former president comes and supports the president now in delivering the mandate, the prime minister comes in supporting the president delivering the mandate, the better, and we are behind them.
Okay. Fred, you see, I need to finally finish because you see
on that party issue alone
has allowed me 1 minute, and I'm kindly requesting, can we please one day on national TV, I want to invite Kiruga to our party headquarters.
I can't come.
We simply want to buy him coffee because he is too much on PNU matters. And I want to tell you, the problem is not PNU. The problem is your mindset. The problem is you feel intimidated by PNU young people.
Thank you so much.
And we are not going to allow you to insult our party.
Jerry Kahiga, National Youth Leader, Political Party, PNU, and Kiruga Dhuku, MCA Shinga in Nyeri County. Shinga Ward is also the chairperson of the UDA MCA's caucus. Thank you so much for your time at TV47 today. We look forward to hosting you once again.
Thank you.
Dear viewers, a lot more coming up after the break. Matters to do with fitness and legal discussions before that with my colleague Stanley Nyaringita. Do stand by for that. My name is Freddie Ndimuli. Have a lovely day.